This episode was originally uploaded on October 28th, 2024 at 6 a.m. Yeah, it was a while ago. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy yourself and drink some water. See you later.
It's Lucky's really long list of movies. Ah! Did I scare you? Welcome back to another episode of Lucky's really long list of movies. And this is a podcast where I, Lucky Damn Day, talk about movies I have never seen before. And today, we will be talking about our final movie from this month's category of Halloween. So what is the last movie of the Halloween category? Well, Halloween! From 1978, of course. Yes, today I will be talking about the box office hit, cult classic, The Frightful Franchise of Halloween. But I'll be focusing more on the original Halloween from 1978. You know, the independent film that started it all. And I think this is a great film to end on. Look at me. I'm saying film instead of movie. Wow. Anyway, we explored so much this month. And Halloween from 1978 seems to be filled with good behind-the-scenes vibes. And then it became a huge hit, and the people who worked on it didn't really get paid. Such a truth to being an independent artist working on an independent project. So Halloween is on my list because, well, I had always heard about it, and I kept seeing sequel after sequel growing up, and even now, they popped out the last one. But I gotta be honest, I never knew if Halloween was the one with the William Shatner chalk-faced mask killer, or if it was the movie with the ugly sweater scissor hands killer, or if it was the one with the machete hockey mask goalie guy. But you know, I did know that Kyle Richards from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is in Halloween, and that's how I learned that Jamie Lee Curtis was also in Halloween. Go ahead, get your scoffs and eye rolls out of the way. I'll humor you and I'll wait. Just gonna get some water. Okay. Wow, I am so generous. I know. I feel like in person, I might give off the vibes that I knew about these iconic serial killers since I was 6. But I never got the chance to see these movies because, you know, the town I grew up in. Of course, now I know the difference between Freddy Krueger. That is his name, right? Freddy Krueger. Anyway, I know the difference between Freddy and Michael Myers, but I still don't really know who Jason is. I know there's like a Crystal Lake and there's like a lot of campers that are killed, and that's all I know. Okay, Freddy, Jason, Michael, and Daniel, the 4 apostles. These are the lore-fueled killers that can't really be killed. And if you're like, who's Daniel? Go watch Candyman. Go watch Candyman. Just go watch it. So back to Michael Myers. I was expecting this movie to be disturbingly scary. I was mentally prepping myself for this one as well. But it turns out Halloween is a good, low-budget popcorn movie cheesy time. Why didn't y'all tell me? I would have seen this movie years ago if I knew that. And back to my terrifying expectations of this movie, you can thank the church for that. If anything, the religious communities in my hometown made all these scary movies seem super fucking scary. Way more scary than the movie actually was. And those religious fearmongers, I'm gonna be honest, they should be the ones writing horror movies or working in horror PR. They have terrifying imaginations and super effective storytelling techniques. Like, okay, I'm just gonna go off on a tangent really quick. This time of year and during the the month of Halloween, otherwise known as October, my hometown is super fucking religious, and I don't live there anymore. Thank goodness. The big mega church would put on a haunted house, and then all the other churches in the town followed suit. So in this small religious town, there's just like all these haunted houses that will pop up. but they're not really haunted houses. If anything, it's like a walk-through theater situation, and it's always some kind of storyline about how some kids turn away from God and then they get sent to hell, and like then the devil comes out and kills them, or I don't know, like something crazy will happen. And the amount of hell that I have walked through in those churches has actually been traumatizing. The money that they put into these productions is terrifying. And they make the devil seem super fucking scary, and they make you fear for your life. And then after you go through hell with the devil and all of the special effects in hell, then you walk through like heaven and you see Jesus, and people are literally crying by this point, and they're holding Jesus's hand and they're crying and they're on the floor bowing to him. I have a lot of stories about that. Let me know if you want to know more. It's crazy. Anyway, back to Halloween, the movie. I didn't see it when I was a kid, obviously. I was too busy walking through these haunted houses. And I didn't see the movie, but I did. I just saw the movie this week for the first time. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and go on to my first take of Halloween from 1978. I'm so excited. Okay, now on to my first take. So I was able to record this first take right after I watched the movie for the first time, and I like to make reaction videos when I'm watching the movie. So I dressed up for this one, and I was dressed up as a clown for this video. But if you want to see the video, you can head over to my socials on TikTok at lucky.damn.day. It's where I post all those dumb little videos if you're interested in watching. I'm going to put in a little transition sound to indicate that we are going into the past. Sorry if you hear a lot of bumping, because I still have the tutu on. I took off my wig. I'm still in the clown costume. I just ripped off my wig just now and put on some headphones and sat in front of the mic. And I'm starting to learn that my booth is not big enough for this costume. But hey, look at me. I'm back in the booth. I'm back in the booth for my first take. Aren't you proud of me? Someone say that they're proud of me, please. We're proud of you. Thanks. So I just watched Halloween from 1978. Is that right? With Jamie Lee Curtis, Kyle Richards, and Michael Myers, right? Oh, fuck, yeah, right, it's Mike Myers. I was telling my partner Tarek, and I do say his real name. I was talking to him and I'm like, man, I just really hope that like Halloween isn't like full of shitty people, or like, you know, I was hoping that Halloween wouldn't be too heavy, but I was definitely preparing myself for it just in case, because I didn't know what the story was going to be about. I didn't know how the writing was going to be, you know, and because I'm going to be real, shit's been pretty heavy since I did Candyman back to back with Rosemary's Baby. It's okay, I'll get over it. It's also Mercury in retrograde right now, and I'm just very tired, and I'm very late on my period, so I'm just exhausted in general, and here I am. I really need you to imagine me slumped over on my desk right now in front of a microphone underneath a red light, but I'm in my clown getup, and I'm like in my wig cap, clown makeup, giant tutu around my neck. And I'm just sitting here talking into a microphone, talking about how exhausted and tired I am. I feel like I should be an oil painting or something. Anyway, so my first take on Halloween, I think it was so good. I think it was so perfect. And I had so much fun watching it. I was not expecting it to be so campy and so like silly. Like people were dying with their eyes crossed. The teens were also just drinking and driving and smoking cigarettes and being shitty friends and being shitty babysitters. And I love the way that people talk in the 70s, especially in movies. Annie kept calling all of these boys jerkos. Yeah, whatever, jerko. Jeez, come on. Hey, this better not be a prank or I swear I'll slug ya. You know, 70s. Oh, the fashion was fun. The fashion was great. Jamie Lee Curtis was great. I understand why this movie has a cult following, while she has a cult following. I get it. He kept getting up. Sorry, I just rambled into oblivion, but he kept getting up after he was getting killed all the time. He had a really big knitting needle to the neck. He got stabbed in the eye with a clothes hanger. He got stabbed in the body, and then he got shot like 5 or 6 times by his own doctor, and then he fell from like the 2nd story. But you know what? It does seem like he has asthma. I had to watch this movie with the captions on, and it was just always like, in parentheses, Michael breathing heavily. Yeah, the dying with your eyes crossed cracked me up. The guy, the weird boyfriend in the van boyfriend, when he died, I thought it was funny. I'm sorry. And I think it's supposed to be funny, right? Because it's like, what happened to him was like what happened to Gizmo in Gremlins. Remember when like they put the Gizmo up on the dartboard? Well, that's what Michael did to this boy, but he did it with like a knife. Only one knife. And I thought the way he strangled people was really funny because it looked like he was just pinching you to death. I loved it. Okay, I'm gonna go get all of this crap off my face, and I'm gonna eat, because I cannot eat when I look like this. All right, bye. All right, so that was my first take, and I have some scary news for some of y'all. The 1-minute recap is back. That's right, it's been resurrected, and just like Michael, it cannot be killed. So if this is your first time here, please don't leave me. But I like to do this really annoying thing and lay down the entire recap of the movie within 1 minute. In my opinion, I'm getting better at it. But because the past 2 episodes involved heavy themes, I totally felt like a big old jerko whizzing through those plots like a crazed maniac. It didn't seem appropriate. So here we go. Starting my timer, and I'm nervous. Okay. I'm nervous. I'm gonna drink some water. Are you drinking water? Drink some water with me. Okay. All right, 1 minute recap, and the timer starts now. So this little boy in a clown costume stabs his topless sister to death after she had sex for 3 minutes with her boyfriend. So the little boy named Michael Myers gets locked up in a psych ward. Then 15 years later, he breaks out and steals a car even though he never drove a day in his life, and he goes back to his hometown. That's when he starts to stalk these 70s bad girl babysitters, and he kills them. He kills them all. But he kills them all, except for the virgin, Laurie Strode. Laurie ends up stabbing Michael in the neck with a sewing needle, and then his eye with a coat hanger, and then stabs him in the chest with his own knife, but he's still able to use his core only to rise back up. Then Michael is shot by his shrink 5 times and falls back off of a balcony, and then he gets up and walks away. Wow! I did it! I have 18 seconds to spare. Ta-da! Woo! God, that feels good. Thank you for humoring me. We're glad to have the 1 minute recap back. But now, let's move on to production. Halloween is one of the biggest movie franchises. There are more of these Halloween movies than there are Star Wars movies. And I can't believe there are 12 Star Wars movies. How do y'all keep up? My favorite Mark Hamill movie is still Corvette Summer. Before Halloween movies took over theaters and the Halloween holiday, it was a low budget project that actors and crew worked on for exposure rather than pay. If you know, you know. So it all started with a film producer, Irwin Yablans, and a rich money man, financier, Mustafa Akkad. Yablans had the idea of a serial killer who targeted babysitters and wanted this idea to rock the world like the horror film The Exorcist. That makes me laugh. Because it sounds almost impossible to make an idea about babysitters inflicting as much fear into the public as demonic possessions of children. Well, I guess that's why they didn't ask a dum-dum like me to make this movie, and they went to John Carpenter. So John Carpenter, he accepted the project after going out for tuna sandwiches with Irwin Yablans. So Carpenter takes on Halloween, which meant he was going to direct, write, and score this bad boy for $10,000. John Carpenter did what a lot of small-time artists do, trying to make a name in the biz. And he said, $10,000 for 3 jobs? Sure, but I need to have total creative control, and my girlfriend needs to be the producer. And the rich people were like, yeah, sure, whatever, make it happen. So John grabs his then girlfriend, Deborah Hill, and they write the script for Halloween in 10 days. Is that a long time? Or is it aggressively short? I have heard of scripts being reworked for years, and I have heard of scripts being written in 2 days, and I have seen scripts get thrown out completely. So I looked it up, and it seems like contractually, in most industry agreements, professional screenwriters are given about 12 weeks to write their first draft. Yeah, so 10 days is really quick. And this movie is totally known for its hard-hitting dialogue, filled with bumbling teenagers from the 70s talking about school books, beer, cigarettes, and boys. I know I have been critical of writing for women in movies, and this one is no exception. So the writing for this movie, especially for the women in this movie, is really, really shit. I don't know how else to put it, but it was bad. It was so bad. It was so bad it was good, which is camp. And I love camp because life is a drag, right? So when I was looking up this script writing process, I was a bit shocked to find out that Deborah Hill, the girlfriend, is responsible for writing the parts for the women. I don't know what else Deborah has worked on, but then I saw her in interviews and I was like, oh, okay, I can see her writing that. So Deborah wrote for The Babysitters, and John Carpenter wrote for Dr. Loomis. All those big dramatic story-building monologues. And this script created the characters like Laurie Strode and her mean-ass friends that I'm 100% convinced that Laurie Strode's friends, these girls, they hate Laurie. They hate Laurie. They hate her. So Laurie's friends were Annie Brackett, the boy-crazed, bad-mouthed, bad-attitude brunette babe, and Linda Van Der Klock. The totally cool, totally smokestack who totally had a limited vernacular, and she was blonde. Totally. Laurie's 2 gal pals, Annie and Linda, were not girls, and had male-centered lives. It's true. They did. And where did it get them? Strangled and cross-eyed. Let that be a lesson to all those pick-me's out there. Decenter men from your lives. And I thought it was wild that Linda Van Der Klock got busy in Lindsay's parents' bed and then started smoking in their bed. Jeez, the nerve. The 70s were wild. And then we have our final girl, Laurie. And final girl in a horror movie is a horror movie trope where the final girl standing in a slasher flick comes face to face with the killer. And there is this epic or horrific fight to the death. So Laurie Strode, I didn't catch on that she was a virgin. I know I shat on the on the writing, but it seems like I couldn't keep up with it. But I didn't catch on that she was a virgin. I genuinely don't know what is up with my comprehension, but I'm working on it. And I could only watch this movie once because it wasn't available to stream, which is a crime. And I was a bit under the weather mentally. Right? But I do plan to watch this movie a lot more, and it is definitely in my Halloween movie rotation. So maybe on my 5th rewatch, I'll see where I missed Laurie being outed as a virgin. But Laurie is the only character I like. You know, someone I would definitely hire to babysit my kids. And if I did hire her to babysit, I would pay her hazard pay because apparently this is a life or death kind of occupation. So Laurie Strode is played by no other than Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, man, everyone knew this but me up until, about a year ago when I was watching Real Housewives and Jamie Lee Curtis made a guest appearance and then everybody was talking about Halloween the movie. So, Jamie Lee Curtis, at the age of 19, this was her first movie that she ever made. She wasn't considered to be the first choice. Production couldn't afford the first choice. So Jamie was hired because she is the daughter of the actress from Psycho, Janet Leigh, and Jamie's dad was Tony Curtis, another Hollywood actor with a big portfolio. I'm going to be real. Tony Curtis was not around in Jamie Lee's life, honestly. And her dad, Tony, left her mom, Janet, and went on to marry like 4 more times. But don't worry about Janet. She remarried within a year of the breakup to a stockbroker. And she's Janet Leigh from Psycho. So she was okay. She was good. Speaking of iconic characters in the script, let's talk about The Shape. The Shape is Michael Myers, right? He is listed in the credits as The Shape because Michael Myers is supposed to be emotionless, motiveless, expressionless, and represent evil and how evil cannot be killed. I think Sailor Moon could kill Michael. I think Sailor Moon could kill Michael Myers. Or, hear me out, the Care Bears. I don't know. Because if he represents evil, then maybe, Sailor Moon and I am making this stretch because I want to see Sailor Moon and the Care Bears go up against Michael Myers. Like maybe they can all go to like a summer camp. No, maybe Sailor Moon could be babysitting the Care Bears, or the Care Bears and Sailor Moon could be babysitting an entire neighborhood, and then this whole thing starts up, and then, oh my god, but then would Sailor Moon be the final girl, and does that mean he would have to kill all of the Care Bears? Oh my god, with crossed eyes, come on. Okay, anyway, we gotta move on. Michael Myers, the character, that is actually the name of a real person. No. Not Mike Myers, the actor that brought us Austin Powers. Even though I would get confused a lot as a kid because Austin Powers, those movies were big when more Halloween movies were coming out at the same time. So there was a lot of talk about Michael Myers versus Mike Myers, but Michael Myers is actually someone John Carpenter knew. Actually, a lot of names in this script were people that John actually knew, like Laurie Strode. That was an ex-girlfriend's name, first and last. If you were writing a script with your boyfriend, your partner, and they used their ex-girlfriend's name first and last in the script, would you feel weird? I wouldn't lose my mind over it, but my intuition would give me hell, and I would tell my FBI BFF, Leslie, and have a full report on the real Laurie Strode within 24 hours. Love you, Leslie. So Michael Myers is named after an English film distributor who helped get John Carpenter's film Assault on Precinct 13 into the London Film Festival. So John Carpenter named this emotionless representation of evil after Michael Myers, the film distributor, as a thank you. Okay. It's a very Addams Family way of thanking someone, but oh, all right, cool. So a bit more about casting. We talked a whittle about Jamie Lee Curtis, but what about everyone else? For starters, the budget for this movie was $300,000, which is not a lot when it comes to making movies. Like, to me, it sounds like a lot of money, but movies are a lot. A lot. Just to put it into perspective, in the 70s, the average movie budget would start off somewhere around $6 million, which makes sense because you need to rent locations, build sets, get permits, work with unions, food, equipment, actors and crews, costumes, vehicles, everything. But Carpenter and the cast and crew pulled off this movie with only $300,000. So the highest paid actor was Donald Pleasence, who played Dr. Loomis. He was paid $20,000. Then Jamie Lee Curtis was paid $8,000 for her part. And the main actor who played Michael, Nick Castle, he was paid $25 a day. And Nick had kids. He had kids, y'all. And apparently they came to the set at lunch every day, which is cute. And there was another actor known to be the real face of Michael, Tony Moran. He is on screen for about like 15 seconds total or something, and he was paid around $150 to $250 for his time. Apparently, a lot of people took turns behind the Shatner mask in Halloween. Deborah Hill, Tony Moran, Nick Castle, and possibly even Carpenter stood in as Michael to get some shots done. So the cast, at times, was also the crew. The actors helped with setting up scenes, carrying around equipment, and providing their own wardrobe for costuming. The movie was also darkly lit because better lighting could not be afforded. Speaking of costuming, my favorite part of the movie was when Michael Myers dressed up as a ghost with glasses. It was a costume in a costume, but also in a costume. Like he was Mike Myers, who was trying to look like the boyfriend, and the boyfriend was supposed to be dressed up as a ghost. That's 3 looks in one, and very, very budget friendly and super funny. But what is a bit impressive is that John Carpenter was able to get his hands on a Steadicam. That was like new age technology in the 70s. They just came out with the Steadicam and John Carpenter got his hands on it. And the Steadicam also played a huge part in the storytelling of the movie. So what is a Steadicam? Well, it's a fancy film camera that can be strapped to the operator and it's gyroscopic. So when the operator starts running or gyrating, there's a bunch of shocks and stuff that cushion and soften the movement, giving us this smooth and very lifelike point of view type of shot. And it was pretty cool, especially when we had like the killer's POV. I thought that was cool. And on an even brighter note, it looks like everyone on set had a really good time. Even the kids in the movie weren't afraid during production. Ooh, let's talk about it. Kyle Richards!
Goodbye, Kyle!
Richards is the little girl who played Lindsay. And I said before that Kyle Richards is an OG, if not the OG of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And if you're judging me for watching that show, don't judge me. Don't judge me for watching that show. It's full of drama, and sometimes I just need to turn my fucking brain off, you know? But anyway, so Kyle Richards, who played Lindsay, she is the sister of Kim Richards, who is the blonde little girl in the classic Race to Witch Mountain. No, I haven't seen it yet. And Kyle's oldest sister is Kathy Hilton, mother of Paris Hilton. So Kyle Richards is Paris's aunt, and they're actually pretty close. Beverly Hills is so weird, and it overlaps a lot. But Kyle Richards said that she had a great time filming and that she remembers Jamie Lee Curtis being this motherly figure on set, even though Jamie was only 19. Kyle also said that she had to sleep in the same bed with her mom until she was in high school because she was so terrified after actually watching Halloween for the first time. Apparently, Kyle wasn't even aware that she was making a horror movie. And if you know Kyle from Housewives, you know that she has intense anxiety. So I can only imagine her reaction to watching this movie. But she's filthy rich now and she can get therapy and meds. Woo! And she also might be gay. I hope so. So yay, no one was scared for their life during filming. Woohoo! So let's talk about the concept. Let's talk a little bit about the vibe of the movie. So the vibe of the movie was supposed to be that of like a haunted house type of movie. Carpenter says he was inspired by how there is always a haunted house in every town and those haunted house theme park rides. So fun. And if you know anything about me, you will know that I am a tad obsessed with the paranormal. I am. I'm pretty skeptical when it comes to like ghost hunting, but damn, those shows are so entertaining and I watch them all and I eat it up. I roll my eyes and I laugh, but then sometimes I do get a little scared. But in regards to the whole everyone can relate to a haunted house because there is a haunted house in every town. Oh, you're telling me. I grew up in a haunted house. Oh, yeah. It was an old farmhouse located at the very end of a very long, secluded road with no other houses around. It was in the middle of the woods, and I swear it was cursed. Cursed! I saw shadows, and I felt creepy vibes. It was a lot. And believe me, I really wanted it to be my imagination. I tried debunking and looking into our pipes and walls, and I tried to recreate things and looked into psychological reasonings of the paranormal. But not everything had an explanation. I tried. And we also had animals all around, and they would react to these things too. It was just like creepy. It was creepy and very fascinating. And another wild thing about this concept is no one has ever used Halloween as a theme for a movie or a title. Yeah, we have horror movies about Dracula, werewolves, witches, and my favorite, Frankenstein, but nothing about Halloween, Halloween night, or the holiday in general. Is this movie really about Halloween, though? Kinda. It takes place on Halloween, so sure. Yeah, sure. Even though Halloween is the first movie to use this holiday name in a horror title, it wasn't the first slasher or holiday-themed horror. We have Psycho, right? Right? Super iconic shower scene. And yes, I have seen Psycho. Look at me go. And then we have the holiday horror. What the fuck just happened? What was that? Anyway, so we have the holiday horror, Black Christmas. But Halloween was the movie that brought back the slasher horror subgenre to the public, and it set off a hot Hollywood trend that would lead to Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, along with a lot of other slasher horror films. So, a slasher film is categorized by the killer or a group of killers hunting or stalking their victims. And there's like a lot of victims, a high body count, and the killer kills without firearms. So, no guns equals lots of slashing. There's also a lot of tropes in slasher movies, like the horror takes place in a small town, and the victims are usually a group of like horny teens who are being stalked by a disfigured, masked, disgruntled killer who hides in the shadows. And this killer commits gory, screech-filled killings until he comes face to mask with the final girl. And the final girl can either kill the killer or have a long, gruesome fight to her death. So basically Halloween from 1978. Except the final battle in Halloween, it doesn't end in death of the killer or the final girl. It actually looks like the final battle never ends because Michael Myers cannot be killed. But apparently he was killed in some sequels and they brought him back to life and then possibly killed him again. I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the movie is shot in about 20 days. And then John Carpenter took it to his alma mater. Is that how you say it? I truly don't give a damn about elite academic culture because it never gave a damn about me. So John takes his movie back to his super fancy rich people school at UCLA and he showed it, right? He's like, look what I made. After the film was done rolling, John gets grilled by the students of the school. About 30% of the room walked out and left in disgust. He was asked questions like, why in the world would you make a trash-ass movie like this? Okay, that wasn't a direct quote, but imagine that question with the rude vernacular of a film student. So Carpenter was asked, why would you make this movie? And I think Deborah Hill answered and was like, well, we wanted to take something classic and put a new spin on it, and we have the hopes that this could one day be considered a classic. And then the film students called Halloween pretentious for thinking that this movie would ever become a classic. And something tells me that those film students, those UCLA film students, still think to this day, they still think that it's pretentious and shitty and stupid. But I also feel like those film students also brag any chance they can that they were one of the first ones to see it. So, even though this movie wasn't a hit all over at the campus, it was distributed to theaters. Okay, so this movie was released, but not on a national level. It was released town by town and theater by theater. Okay, so the movie is in theaters now, right? It's in a few theaters in a few towns, and the money from the first night, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything to write home about. It was maybe it brought in like $250 at one theater and another theater and whatever. But then the next day, that number doubled. And then the next day, that number tripled. And then by the end of the week, Halloween made 10 times the amount it made on opening night. And that isn't usually how it goes. Usually, a movie comes out, there's a big opening night, and the numbers from there, they just start to dwindle. But Halloween, this movie grew like a financial fungus. So when it comes to movies in the 70s and being in a movie theater in the 70s, just imagine a really lively crowd. And I'm learning that the 70s loved movies and they loved going to the movie theaters. Movies were a bit cheaper back then, and TVs only had a few channels, and the youth loved to hang outside of the home, away from parents and out on the town, especially in dark rooms. Also, another thing I have been thinking about lately when it comes to the 70s movie theater culture is AC units. Stay with me. This all kind of relates, but I have been thinking about this. So AC units. In 1973, only 50% of households had AC units or central air. And movie theaters, you might have forgotten because no one goes to the movies anymore and it's really sad, but movie theaters are kept pretty cool due to all of the equipment needed to show a movie. And the theater is a room with no windows and it's full of people sitting on cushy seats for at least an hour and a half. You need AC in theaters. Have you ever been to a theater without AC? I have. I did a 24-hour movie marathon. I love doing 24-hour movie marathons. So I did a 24-hour movie marathon at an AMC, and the AC was out. And oh my God, it got so steamy and stinky in that theater. Even after just one movie, it got stinky. I bet they had to throw out those theater seats after we were done. So after that, I brought extra deodorant sticks and sprays to every marathon I go to, or went to back in the day. Because you never know who might need it. And horror movies usually debut in the summer because summertime horror releases are historically beneficial. If you release a horror movie in the summer, you're going to get bank. Maybe because the demographic is out of school and dating, and they need a cool, dark place to take their date. And horror movies are especially great for dates because you can scream and grab onto your date's arm for comfort. Or you can just make out in a room, I don't know. But Halloween didn't debut in summer. It debuted in October. So sorry I went on that AC tangent, but a lot of horror movies come out in the summer, like Gremlins, Rosemary's Baby, and Candyman 2021. All of those came out in the summer. See? It is true. So Halloween, the movie, it releases theater to theater. And the crowd loved it. They loved the campy, cheesy parts. They were afraid of all the suspense. This movie's popularity spread by word of mouth, which is really cool. There wasn't much advertising to this movie, so word spread from town to town, and pretty soon theaters were packed with people. And Deborah Hill described going to see it in theaters the first week it came out. And she describes people screaming at Laurie Strode, saying, "Don't go in there! There's a killer!" People would also yell out, "Totally!" after everything Linda said. And of course, people enjoyed the nudity. Oh my God, I almost forgot the music. Another thing that made the crowd go wild and made this movie immortal was the soundtrack. So we already said that John was the composer, right? It was one of his 3 jobs. So the iconic score is the dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-dee, dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-dee. You know what I mean? Carpenter said he came up with this simple but thrilling tune on like a little electric keyboard. Carpenter's dad, back in the day, tried to teach the young John Carpenter the bongos and a beat pattern on the bongos. I don't know much about drums. I don't know what that's. But anyway, so his dad taught Carpenter the 5/4 time signature. That's what it's called. The 5/4 time signature. His dad was trying to teach him that on the bongos, right? Okay. So basically, Carpenter took this time signature and he added notes to it. So I guess the beat pattern or the time signature, if you played it on the drums, I'm going to clap. Are we ready? I'm going to clap it out. Oh, and you can try it too if you want to. I know you want to. Okay, so on the drums, it sounds something like... I don't think that's right. But anyway, I was trying to clap along to the music in my head. Well, he put some notes to it, and he added some key changes, maybe some chords. I don't know. So he added a lot of like, doo, boo, like in the background. So Halloween rocked theaters worldwide and made a terrifying $70 million. Holy crap. Then it went to TV, and extra scenes had to be made to fit the TV length requirements. Jamie Lee Curtis went on to make an entire acting career that always derives back to Halloween. John Carpenter is locked in as a cinematic award-winning genius. Nick Castle went on to be a director, and Kyle Richards is now a Hollywood housewife. And now I know the difference between Halloween and Friday the 13th. Watching this movie was so fun. Learning about it was a breath of fresh air compared to Polanski. Fucking weird-ass joke of an artist. Fucking weird-ass joke. Fucking weirdo. Gross. I know none of this is news to you, and that I am, once again, the last one to the Halloween party. But I'm so stoked to tackle the rest of this franchise. I'm sure it will be a journey, but I'm not sure when that will happen. So, that, my friends, is the end of today's show. I hope you enjoyed and had a good time. And if you did like what you hear today, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and rate, and review, and say stuff by word of mouth, because apparently that works really well. You can also follow me on my socials at lucky.damn.day on pretty much everything. And each week I put out... content like reaction videos where I'm dressed in clown outfits and poster predictions, along with a new podcast episode tackling yet another movie I've never seen. So I will see you next week when we start our new category, Wild Animals. Yeah, it might seem like a predictable category, but it's not going to be. These are going to be movies about animals, starring animals of all shapes and forms, real animals, fake animals, and the first movie we are tackling is Roar from the 80s, which I heard is one of the most dangerous movies ever made. Like, I'm talking people needed to get reconstructive surgery. Okay, so we'll see about that. So I will see you next Monday for whatever Roar has in store for you and me. All right, bye. Drink your water and check your candy before you eat your candy. And check your candy and drink your water. Bye.